Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this. I want you to imagine being dropped right into the ancient, dusty streets of Mecca. Our focus today is on the power of Akhlaq, the prophet and the old woman. Picture it, it's early morning, long before the harsh desert sun has fully risen, and there's just this distinct, heavy tension in the dry air. Today, we're unpacking a deeply moving historical narrative from our source material that has literally been passed down through centuries. It's a fascinating account because it encapsulates this profound mystery, how extreme, targeted, and persistent animosity was met with just unimaginable, silent patience. And, well, this brings us to the core mystery of the entire account. According to our sources, this woman was incredibly weak. I mean, so frail that she could barely walk, forced to lean heavily on a wooden walking stick just to take a single difficult step. Yet despite this immense physical frailty, she harbored such a deep-seated hatred that she spent her precious remaining energy every single day finding new ways to cause physical harm to the Prophet Muhammad. You really have to ask yourself, why would someone dedicate the absolute twilight of their life to such daily malice? Let's look at how this actually played out. Section 1. The Daily Path of Thorns. The source details a highly disturbing and just incredibly dedicated routine of malice. Every single night, under the thick cover of darkness, this elderly woman would secretly leave her home. Her sole objective? To gather thorny branches, sharp twigs, and prickly desert objects. She would then carefully lay them across the exact path the prophet walked every single day for his morning prayers, hoping, with this really twisted sense of anticipation, that these sharp thorns would pierce his feet and make him bleed. Now, this brilliantly illustrates a stark behavioral contrast between these two individuals. While she was actively dedicating her days to plotting and causing physical pain, his reaction was entirely unexpected. As he walked his route and the thorns inevitably pierced his feet, causing severe pain, he didn't react how most of us would. There was complete silence, immense patience. According to the text, he would simply quietly remove the thorns from his path and slowly continue on his way, despite the bleeding. So the absolutely crucial point here is this: no anger, no curses, no revenge. The source tells us that the people of Mecca who witnessed this daily event were absolutely astounded. They would literally whisper among themselves in sheer amazement. They pointed out that any ordinary person facing this kind of targeted daily harassment would have sought immediate retaliation a long time ago. But from him, the narrative states that not a single word of complaint ever left his lips. His face only showed unwavering patience and mercy. Which brings us to Section 2, the unexpected silence. After a long period of enduring this daily torment, a sudden, jarring shift occurred in the routine. One morning, as the prophet walked his usual route past the old woman's house, the path was entirely clear. No thorns, no garbage, absolutely zero obstruction. This vicious routine of hatred had suddenly and inexplicably just stopped. Now ask yourself, if your daily bully suddenly disappeared, wouldn't your first feeling be immense relief? I know mine would be. But that is not what the narrative describes here. Instead of feeling relieved that his path was finally clear of thorns, the prophet actually stopped right in his tracks. He felt deep concern. He immediately turned to the locals standing nearby and asked them, "Where is she? Why is the woman who usually troubles me not visible today?" This specific reaction introduces an elevated concept known as akhlaq. It translates to exceptional, unmatched, or elevated character. It's this profound practice of desiring good and well-being, even for the very people who dedicate themselves to causing you harm. The source presents this as the driving force behind his reaction. The locals, who were utterly bewildered by his concern for his abuser, informed him that she hadn't been seen all morning because she was severely ill and completely bedridden. Section 3. A Visit of Compassion. Hearing of her illness didn't bring him a sense of victory, but rather genuine worry. Driven by that profound akhlaq we just defined, he immediately set off toward her house. And he wasn't going to gloat or demand an apology. He was going purely to check on her health and see if she needed any assistance. When he arrived, he stood at her door, and instead of barging in, he called out with a very soft, empathetic, and gentle cadence. He asked, "Amma, are you home?" Now, it's really worth noting here that Amma is a deeply respectful cultural term used for an older woman, often translating to a mother or mother figure. Even after all she had done, he addressed her with the utmost dignity. From inside the house, a tremendously weak, frail voice replied, "Yes, I am home. Who is it? Come in." As he entered, the scene was truly pathetic. He found her confined to a bed of severe illness and total weakness. The source notes that her body was completely exhausted, absolutely drained by the sickness that had taken over her frail frame. She was entirely helpless, unable to care for herself or even manage basic needs. According to the text, seeing her in this highly vulnerable state filled his heart with profound mercy.
But imagine her reaction for a second. As soon as she saw who had walked through the door, her eyes widened in absolute shock. She began to tremble uncontrollably. Her internal dialogue was racing. Is this the same man I threw garbage on? The one whose path I filled with thorns? She was entirely consumed by astonishment and a sudden, intense feeling of shame. The only person standing at her door to check on her during her lowest, most vulnerable moment was her daily victim.
Section 4, Tears of Realization. The prophet walked over and sat down right beside her bed. Speaking in a deeply kind and merciful tone, he didn't bring up the thorns. He didn't demand an apology for the past. Instead, he simply told her he heard she was unwell, and he actually asked her permission to serve her and nurse her back to health. And he followed through with specific, tender actions. He offered her water to drink to quench her thirst. He actively tended to her daily needs, making sure she was comfortable and clean when she was far too weak to move on her own. He spoke to her continuously with gentle reassurance, comforting her in her sickness. And he didn't just do this once. The account details that he returned over the next several days to diligently care for her. The source material describes how the hatred simply melted. All those years of deep-seated animosity, the daily plotting, the cruel intentions, they just dissolved. As she watched him care for her with such unparalleled kindness, tears of profound shame began to flow freely from her eyes. The text notes that she finally realized the true magnitude of her terrible actions and the profound depth of his character. Moving into Section 5, the light of faith. We reached the climactic day in our source material. Her health had finally improved slightly under his diligent care, and for the first time since he started visiting her, she broke her silence. The sheer weight of his mercy compelled her to finally address him directly about everything that had transpired between them. With a trembling, tearful voice, she looked at him and confessed, "I gave you so much pain. I harassed you. I left no stone unturned in bothering you, yet you never took revenge. You didn't answer my evil with evil. Instead, when I fell ill, you served me." It was this ultimate, crushing realization for her that he had repaid years of targeted physical cruelty with nothing but unparalleled care. And this brilliantly illustrates the major turning point of the entire narrative. Overcome with emotion and weeping continuously, she declared, "I swear by God, such unmatched character, such elevated akhlaq cannot belong to an ordinary man. You are truly the messenger of Allah." According to the historical account, she recognized his flawless character and boundless patience as the ultimate, undeniable proof of his divine mission. Right then and there, she asked to be included in his faith. A heart that the text describes as once entirely consumed by hate was, in an instant, filled with the light of faith. The narrative concludes with her embracing Islam, serving as a powerful historical testament from our sources that extreme compassion, patience, and mercy hold the incredible power to conquer even the deepest, most entrenched animosity. So the crucial takeaway from this explainer is this: how do we respond to those who hurt us? When faced with malice in our own modern lives, whether it's at work, online, or in our communities, do we immediately retaliate, or do we practice akhlaq? Can we actually find the strength to desire good, even for those who wish us harm? It's a pretty challenging thought, isn't it? But responding to hatred with radical kindness just might be the most powerful, transformative force in the world. Think about it.